Okay, get this. What if one person, just one, could build a company that pulls in over $1 billion in revenue? I know, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but this isn't a what if. We're about to walk through a real-world case study that might just be rewriting the rules of business right before our eyes. So, back in early 2024, at the peak of the AI hype, Sam Altman made this super bold prediction. The whole idea of a single founder hitting a billion-dollar valuation felt, revolutionary. But what if he was actually underestimating how fast it could happen? And what if it wasn't just about valuation, but actual, cold, hard revenue?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Because it really looks like this isn't just some far-off prophecy anymore. It feels like a reality that's happening right now. And frankly, it's moving a lot faster than anyone predicted.
So let's meet the company at the center of all this, MDV, and its founder, Matthew Gallagher. He's the 41-year-old entrepreneur who took that futuristic idea and somehow turned it into a concrete and, well, a shockingly successful business model. Pretty much all by himself.
So, how in the world did he do it? Here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to look at the massive market opportunity he spotted. Then, we'll dive into how he built his AI-powered machine. After that, we'll get into the frankly mind-blowing financial numbers. And finally, we'll ask the big one. What does this all mean for the future of work? Every huge business starts by solving a big problem or meeting a huge unmet need. For MDV, that opportunity came from a revolutionary health trend that was absolutely sweeping across America.
It all starts with something called GLP-1. Now, don't worry about the complex science here. It's actually really simple. This is a natural hormone that's already in your body. It has one main job: to send a signal up to your brain that basically says, hey, we're good down here. You can stop eating now. Think of it like this. You eat some food, and this GLP-1 hormone gets released. It's like a little messenger that runs to your brain to deliver the stop eating note. The problem is, for some people, that messenger is kind of slow, or maybe it whispers, so the brain doesn't get the message clearly, and that can lead to overeating. What drugs like Ozempic do is basically hand that messenger a megaphone. And that right there was the light bulb moment. Matthew Gallagher did his research and saw a perfect storm. Millions of Americans were desperate to get these GLP-1 drugs, but the supply was incredibly tight. He saw this giant gap between massive demand and really limited access.
So, he found the opportunity. But how do you build a company to actually capture it, especially when you don't have a huge team or millions in venture capital? Well, this is where the story starts to feel like it's from the future.
Gallagher built his entire company from the ground up with just $2,000. That was his total initial investment. I'm not kidding. Not $2 million, $2,000.
So how on earth is that even possible? Well, in mid-2024, he spent just 2 months building the whole thing. He wasn't hiring developers or a marketing team. Nope. Instead, he put together a team of over 12 different AI tools to act as his digital workforce. An AI built and ran the website, an AI chatbot took care of all the customer service, and another AI was running and optimizing all the advertisements. Now here's the really clever part. MDV doesn't actually make any drugs or employ any doctors. It's a platform, a digital matchmaker. A patient goes online, fills out a form, then a licensed, contracted doctor reviews it. If it's approved, an outsourced pharmacy ships the medication straight to the customer. No offices, no waiting rooms, the whole shebang is outsourced. So, the big question is, did this crazy, hyper-lean, AI-driven model actually work? Well, the numbers tell one of the most incredible growth stories I have ever come across. Check out this timeline. The company launches in September 2024 with a pretty modest 300 customers. By November, that grew to 1,300. But then, in 2025, the business just exploded. It hit 250,000 customers. And the projection for this year, 2026, a staggering $1.8 billion in revenue. Let's just zoom in on 2025 for a second. On $401 million in revenue, the company cleared $65 million in pure net profit. I mean, when you have almost zero overhead and no employee salaries to pay, the profit margins are just phenomenal. Okay, so let's zoom out. This is so much bigger than just one successful company. Looking at this as a business case study, it forces us to ask some really fundamental questions about what a company even is anymore and what it truly needs to succeed in this new AI era. I mean, the contrast is just stark. You have the traditional company with a huge workforce, sky-high overhead, and it's usually slow to make changes. And then you have the MDV model, which runs on AI with almost no overhead. For most of its insane growth period, it had 0 employees. In fact, he didn't hire his first and only employee until this year, 2026, and it was his younger brother.
So here's the key lesson, the big takeaway. This model represents a fundamental shift in thinking. The entrepreneur isn't a manager of people anymore. They're an architect of systems. Gallagher's job isn't to run a company in the old-fashioned sense. It's to build, connect, and oversee this automated system of AI tools and contractors that does all the work. The most valuable skill is no longer management, it's integration.
And all of this leaves us with a final and honestly, a pretty provocative question. For decades, we measured a company's success by how many people it employed. But the case of MD Visas suggests we're heading into a future where revenue and impact are completely disconnected from headcount. So how many people does it really take to build a billion-dollar empire? The answer might be a lot closer to 1 than we ever thought was possible.